code just to avoid such taxings. So I believe a 37 point. You're gonna rebuttal that. I see you going already. But I do believe a 37.5% tax on the rich with these amounted taxes, which BT has mentioned, Social Security, wealth tax, state income taxes, all this too. I do believe that a tax such as 37.5% would work well for the rich, whilst also keeping them here whilst also keeping them here in the United States, whilst having them pay their fair share, as I also plan to lower taxes on the middle class and lower classes.
Okay, BT, would you like to rebuttal?
Okay, so I have to say, you're a little bit wrong here because these new taxes, they've been in place for about a year and a half, I believe, and we haven't experienced any kind of loss in revenue. Actually, we've seen a gain in revenue. Matter of fact is, we've managed to increase our revenues by $2 trillion in 2 years, meaning that we're having steady economic growth with no, like, what's it called? There's no, like, billionaires or anybody leaving the United States. Like, simply because we've been lowering the national debt so much that investors have been flooding into the debt at a fast rate that we've been able to make up for any kind of people who would have been in the country. They're coming, like, more people are coming in than they're leaving. And people are coming in general, which means that, I don't know, these high tax rates for billionaires are not really impacting us in any way because our revenues have been growing every single year for the past 2 years by literally like $1 trillion every year. That's great for the economy.
Mr. BT, I have a rebuttal to this. I know you are.
Wait, one sec.
Hey,
one sec. No. BT, are you finished? Are you finished with your rebuttal? BT?
BT.
Sorry?
Are you finished with your rebuttal?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, Wen, go ahead.
I was going to say I see what you were talking about, but I do have a rebuttal. My main concern comes down to, you say that there's more revenue coming in, but the statistics have not been released by a bipartisan source, as bipartisan himself, who has done these statistics for the past few years, is gone. I believe we need yes, the IBC is gone, and you're the one who's been releasing these surpluses on all this stuff with no backing. From people such as Tabs on the IBC said there's no backing to this. From people all over, they know there's no backing to this claim except you doing your own math. And I would like to know if you were to double check this with a bipartisan source, or you were to gather together a bunch of Republicans, a bunch of Democrats to check this revenue, I would be completely fine with that. But our country has not had these stats updated for years due to IBC inactivity after bipartisan has been let off. And I believe that is my main concern with this. I love that we're in a surplus. I love that you're decreasing the national debt. But my main concern comes that these numbers may be seen as partisan, and they may be seen as leaning more in favor of the Democratic policy and Democratic Party.
Okay, I have another rebuttal.
Do you have a rebuttal?
Another rebuttal. What you said about the IBC being unable to really create revenues, it's been precedented in the past that the cabinet can come up with revenues in the absence of the IBC. It's what we did in the past before. And the cabinet, and my personal cabinet, it's been filled with Democrats and Republicans. And if I recall, when you actually approved the revenues that we came up with.
I was not there.
I'll pull up the poll.
I approved us making the revenue. Hey, I would like to,
Nope. It is still his turn to answer. You can do your rebuttal when it's your turn.
I know it's his turn to answer, but
I would like to
point something out.
You can't.
Can I point something out? BT, can I?
If he lets you.
Yes, you confirmed our revenues. Hey. Hold on.
Hey. You did not give me the revenues. I said.
Yes, I did. Hold on.
What you said.
Molly, mute him.
Now,
let me tell you what he said.
Who do I mute? Look at this, everybody.
Let me tell you what he said. Let me tell you what he said. Let me tell you what he said. Shut your mouth. Shut up.
Yo, this is becoming.
Let me tell you what he said. You said, should we be able to make revenues? And I said, okay, sure. You never gave me the revenue in which we were confirming. If I had the revenue in which we were confirming, I would look it over better. You told me. No. The poll was based on. The poll was was based on, should the cabinet be able to make revenues? And I said yes, because the IBC's gone,
Taco,
sure.
the
But I was
worst
not
debate of all
given the
time.
revenues to confirm. I was not given the revenues to confirm.
That's
And
wrong.
if so,
That's wrong.
and if so,
Okay.
Guys,
if so, then I did not see it.
guys,
Simple.
guys,
When?
guys,
When?
1 sec. BT,
Okay.
BT, man.
Order in the debate.
BT. I need to interrupt you real quick. When? Was it your turn? No, let me ask you. Was it your turn? Who is rebuttaling right now?
I do not
Who is
care.
rebuttaling?
Because BT's done the same in debates in past, so I do not care.
Yeah, and if he does, Somali will mute him. So don't do it either.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask, do not do that again, either of you guys. And before you start yelling, you could do that in the open debate. For now, just answer the question. BT, can you finish your rebuttal and then give Wen uninterrupted time to speak?
Okay, yes. If you actually look in chat right now, you can see when. Wait, hold on. Yeah, if you look in the chat right now, I gave out revenues inside of the situation room for the cabinet to confirm in the absence of the IBC, as is precedented, as we've done in the past. And he clicked yes. He clicked yes to confirm our revenues. And if you look inside,
I do not recall seeing this. I remember the poll. Shut your mouth.
Order.
No,
Order.
I would like
Order.
I would like to know.
Order.
I would like to know.
Order.
I had a misconception. I had a misconception.
Order
Tabs,
in the
tabs,
debate.
mute
Order
up.
in the debate.
I need tabs.
I had a
Tabs,
misconception.
I
I'm
need
here.
tabs.
I had a misconception.
I need an
for the poll.
admin. I need someone's actually an admin.
I had a misconception for a poll. I had a misconception then.
Tabs,
I had a
get up here, boy.
misconception then. Shh.
When?
I had a misconception.
When?
I had a misconception then.
When?
It's simple.
When?
I had a misconception as to what the poll was supposed to be.
buddy, stick to
When?
national. All right, look,
When?
if you look at that in the forwarded
Dude,
messages,
Y'all, what's that, guys?
I'm not done with my rebuttal.
Tabs,
Okay, he decided
tabs,
to interrupt
tabs,
me. He
do-
decided to
tabs.
interrupt
Please
me.
do what I just asked you to do. Please do what I just asked you to do. Like, please.
Yeah, please server mute when, because I was not.
Server mute.
I was the one who started with both of you.
Anyway,
Someone do
look at
something,
me.
because this is ridiculous. This is
Listen,
Okay,
this
well, I'm
is
going to
actually
hear.
ridiculous.
if you look,
Hurricane, I got this. If you guys stop interrupting each other for the next, if you guys do not stop interrupting each other for the 5 minutes, I will.
I agree. I agreed to stop interrupting him. He decided that he was going to interrupt me. So go ahead and mute him.
Okay, I'm saying in the next 5 minutes, if any of you guys mute, I'm going to mute both of you, and that basically ends the debate. I don't want to hear much of bickering and arguing.
Okay.
Yeah, one more interruption. I'm ending the debate. Like I'm just gonna say it right now, because this is legitimately. This is literally Biden versus Trump the sequel. Gio is spitting straight facts.
Actually, I can go ahead and send the full screenshot. If you look at the forwarded message, this was displayed right above the poll to confirm our revenues. All right, I gave a whole list of the revenues that we were confirming, and he decided to eye it. The cabinet decided to eye it unanimously, I might add. It's something that we've been able to do for the past, 3 years. He decided to eye it, and he saw it. Maybe he just wasn't paying attention. I don't know. I feel like if you're the Secretary of Defense, you should be paying attention. However, if you looked right above the poll, you would see that the revenues were posted right there, and you decided to confirm them.
Jeez. The reason this happened was because earlier, let me also bring up earlier, you were here and you were saying, so basically the IBC turned into an utter after bipartisan left. I expected him to be back yesterday, blah, 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 blah. Do you agree with this? Yes. And then the poll, I went to go do something else. The poll came. I checked my pings. I saw the poll. That's all I saw at the moment. And I said, aye. So I eyed I'm being called for something. Hold on. What?
Okay, he just disappeared. In my opinion,
I'm back. Let me speak. I'm not done. I am not done. I'm not done. I'm saying that from what I saw, my pings came on. I got a bunch of pings, so I was clearing them all out. I saw the poll. I voted in the poll to yes because I believed what it was doing was saying, okay, the cabinet can make these revenues. The cabinets can do these revenues. And so I voted for yes, the cabinet can make revenues. I did not see the exact revenue. And
yeah, it was.
Hello?
Come on, man.
BT, would you like to do your second rebuttal?
Okay.
My second rebuttal. My point is, if you're going to be a member of the United States cabinet and you know that you're going to be tasked with creating revenues, you should just look one message above. It was displayed right above. If you were able to read the message about bipartisan, you should have been able to read the other messages about the revenues themselves that I posted. So your reasoning doesn't really click with me because what you did was you pretty blatantly disregarded the revenues that
Molly,
I
check
posted.
DMs.
Managed to look at what I said about bipartisan, but you didn't manage to look at the same exact message that had the
Because
revenues
I went to
posted.
do
So
something else. Yes.
There seems like a red herring.
No, it was just me going to do something
When?
else because there was at least a few
Go
minute
ahead.
gap between these. At least a 10-minute gap between.
Yeah, no, your claim was that you didn't agree to that, but you
I said
actually did. If you're going to be signing something, you should be trying to actually read what you're signing, right?
I believe that was signing into the cabinet can create revenue. I believe that.
Stop trying to interrupt me.
Hey, you stop trying to interrupt me. You
I'd
stop
love
trying to
to do
interrupt.
that.
This is mine. This is mine. This is my
BT,
rebuttal.
BT.
No, I was mid-rebuttal.
It's his time
Shut your mouth.
rebuttal.
Shut your mouth. This is
No. I didn't have my minute.
No, this is mine. This is
I have
mine.
my minute.
You're gonna have your opinion in a
I
second.
didn't have my minute.
You can have your
I had my
opinion.
minute.
You can have your minute. You can have your minute in a second. You'll get your minute in a second. What I'm saying is,
Okay,
okay,
yeah,
sure,
so
I should.
we're
Okay, sure. I will
interrupt
admit.
now.
I will admit my mistake. I'll admit my mistake. I signed into something without not exactly knowing what it was. I'll admit that was definitely a mistake on my part. I will admit that to be a mistake. And you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, you made a mistake. How horrible! You've definitely made mistakes before, and you've signed into stuff that you didn't know before. Many people do this, and I'm sad to say I did this.
I have a rebuttal again.
Yeah.
Oh.
Open. Oh, one sec. Open debate for 2 minutes, and then we're moving on to the next question.
Okay. You won't interrupt me? I feel like if you're going to be running for president, you shouldn't be signing stuff without knowing what it actually pertains to. Because I'm not sure if you know this, but the president, its main job is to sign bills into law. If you're going to be signing bills without reading them, then that's a pretty disqualifying thing for the president.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not a bill. The
Well,
difference is
it's what
I
you
fought.
did. It
That's
might
not.
not be what you said, but it's what you did. It's what
And
you
again,
did.
this is open.
What you
This is
did.
open debate. This is open debate. I get to interrupt you whenever I want.
Yeah, I know.
So basically, yeah,
I know.
sure.
I never said
This is
anything
what
about
I.
you
This
interrupting.
is what you did. And sure, this is what I did once. I make sure I read thoroughly.
You're not wrong,
almost
Gio.
every
You're not
single
wrong.
time. Almost every single time. I
No.
check almost every single time. Yes. I check almost every single time
This is
as to
great.
what
This
I
is
am
great.
signing and as to what I am doing. This is a one-time thing and simple.
Unmoderate all debates.
Simple.
Interesting.
Anyways, again, I don't think I should have done a lot of things I've done. That was when I was immature as a politician. What happened was, in fact, I thought this was a poll as to, okay, let the cabinet do revenues. And I didn't think we were going to be confirming a revenue first thing, so I filled that poll. And I was clearing out my pings. Simple. I will admit to this.
Okay, we're moving on to the next question.
All right, yeah, I got that.
Because. Okay, Somali, would you like to ask this one?
We're
We're moving to foreign policy for a bit.
All right,
Okay.
lovely.
Let me just send you the questions that I have because I'm almost done.
Okay. Let's do the fifth one. I like the fifth one. The fifth one's like
Okay.
modern and important. To the fifth
All
one.
right. All right. The fifth question that I actually had was, what is your opinion on the current war and invasion of Trinidad and Tobago by the coalition of the United States of America and of Paladin, the paramilitary group from Cuba? Did you support the war? And if you did support the war, why did you support the war? And if you didn't support the war, why didn't you support the war? And if you have some critiques about how BT handled the war, I would ask you, what are those critiques and what would you do differently as president if presented with a similar issue like the invasion? Also,
And let me add on a bit. What further plans do you have for our newest territory in the Union?
okay, I'll start with BT.
BT can answer first.
Okay,
Next question,
so
Somali.
I strongly support the war in Trinidad simply because they're a clear national security threat. Truthfully, I don't want any more of my cabinet members getting shot down over the Caribbean Ocean because...
Except me.
I mean, seriously, yeah, even he agrees. Like, I don't want Wen getting shot down over the Caribbean Sea. They were a clear national security threat. They were bombing us, like, just for the fun of it, I suppose. We still don't know their motives. I mean, shit, they might have been funded by another country, but I'm pretty sure that was also shot down. But no, like, if they're going to be killing our Secretary of State, obviously we need to to do something in return. And also, you have to take into account Trinidad is pretty much a gold mine of economic opportunity. They sit right off the coast of Venezuela, and you know where like the biggest oil reserves on Earth are? Right off the coast of Venezuela. Truthfully, they're a gold mine of economic opportunity. If to respond to Hurricane's question, being what do I plan to do with the newest territory? We still need to hold that referendum to make them a territory in the first place. We can't simply, like occupy and take, because that's probably going to end up with unrest. I do suggest that the mod team goes ahead and, makes that poll so that we don't have this issue in the future. But I would personally support them being a territory of the United States. I don't know. They got a lot of resources. I believe that we can subsidize their population.
Like BT, real quick, you're kind of pushing the time limit, so please wrap it up.
Anyway, so I believe that, it's a gold mine of economic opportunity, and I feel like we got our revenge there. I think we're done. We just need to hold that referendum.
When? Go ahead.
So I of course have supported the war in. I of course have supported the war in Trinidad. Everybody supports the war in Trinidad, but here's the one thing: I am fine with it being a territory for until we can build it up to be at a point where it can be an ally of ours, but also independent. We need to help it rebuild from the war that has gone on. We need to help it be reestablished as an American ally, and we can economically prosper from it being within our sphere of influence. As BT has said, and I'll agree with this, it is an economic gold mine. I do not think this should be long-term set up to become a state. I do not believe this should be a long-term territory. This should be more like the Philippines. We keep the peace there. We make it pro-American. We get resources from it, and then we leave. And we set it up to be a prosperous country, such as any other country we have touched beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah.
BT, would you like to rebuttal?
I pretty much agree with what he said. As president, I signed an executive order to help rebuild Trinidad, and I gave them a federal grant of around $10 billion out of the budget surplus to help them, rebuild, make them pro-American in the future. I mostly support what he said. I believe that they should be a territory for delegated amount of time. We need to talk to Trinidad for a little bit, but I feel like they should be a Trinidad for a territory for a time, and then they should have another referendum to vote on independence or staying in the United States. I agree with what he said.
Too many agreements this debate. This isn't becoming a debate.
That's the only agreement we've had, I'm pretty sure. 2 agreements.
No, we agreed on 2 things, yeah. And then we had that one big.
Oh yeah, but the third one was the second thing was so not agreed upon that it probably cancelled for like 5 things.
Sure.
Okay, can I ask the next question? Or?
Yes.
What's like Somali? I really do like. For the fun of it, let's ask question number 2.
My favorite question.
My favorite topic.
What is your opinion on the state of Israel? What do you think is the role of America's sphere of influence? And what would you do with the state that has been a thorn in America's side for now 100 years? Let's start with Len.
It's gotta bend over. It's gotta bend over to us, or it's gotta leave. It's simple.
Damn.
Israel is nothing without us, and they need to realize that. They're out here trying to lobby our politicians, acting as if they are the big boss here. No, we as Americans need to go over to Israel and say, screw you. You're dependent on us. You're dependent on everything we give you. And guess what? We're not going to let you blackmail us anymore. We're not going to let you lobby our politicians anymore. You are supposed to be our ally. And at the very least, they should act like a puppet because they rely on us completely and totally dependently. And if they don't meet our demands, maybe we'll go find another partner in the Middle East. How would they feel about that as they get crushed by every Arab country who surrounds them? So they better get the memo, and they better get in line, or else horrible things will happen to them.
Beast.
Multi based, I love that. All right, VC.
Hey! No taking sides, Somali. No taking sides.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been pretty clear about Israel. Around 500 members of Congress take corporate PAC money from the state of Israel. And while I may sometimes joke about loving Israel, I truthfully, I believe that they're a thorn in our side. I agree with you on that point. I feel like they have way too much influence on our politics. I
Stop
feel like
agreeing.
anyway, so they've I mean, they're committing a genocide in Gaza currently. I'm not sure if we're talking about in mock or in real life here, but they're definitely
Mock.
committing
We're talking about
genocide in
mock.
Gaza. They're,
The genocide with Gaza.
you know, they're essentially they're starving them out. It's pretty disgusting overall, in my opinion. I feel like we should limit their influence on our politics as much as possible. Definitely cut back funding. That's my 2 cents.
I think
So it
I
sounds
think we
sounds
agree.
pretty similar.
I think we agree. I just don't know if he's been. I don't think he hammered down on getting Israel to listen to us more so. I think he probably does agree with that, but I just believe we more so need to get them back in line if they want to stay in our sphere of influence.
Somali, stop asking agreeable questions. What are you doing?
I didn't know they all hated Israel.
I mean, at this point, wait. Here's an idea for a question.
Okay, send it to me and I'll ask it.
Brutally frame mugs when.
All right, man. That's not where
You know
we're.
what? BT, can you please become a radical Zionist for this debate so we have something to debate of?
I can RP as a radical Zionist if you want me to.
No. One sec. Let me ask this question. Let's get some chaos back in here.
All right.
Let's see. Oh, I like this one. So, as your education is becoming a big debate, big part of America's future, specifically college, and this for my question is: should the government subsidize college tuitions, or maybe even make them free and publicly funded universities? Who went first in the last question?
When?
Okay, then BT, you could start with this one.
Okay, wait. So you talked about
you were excited for this.
You talked about
Also,
like,
Geo, your question will
it
be
was
asked.
about student tuitions and like making it free.
Yes, and for public universities.
For public universities, personally, I mean, if it's a public university, I fully support that. If it's a private university, however, I do believe that, at the end of the day, university, they are kind of private businesses. And as unfortunate as it is, I do have plans to lower student debt, of course. That was actually a part of my agenda for this term. Although I am running out of time, I might have to do that in my next administration.
I
plan to delegate money from the
quick thing. Actually, the next question will be about student debt, so don't focus too much on that here. That's the next question.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, for a public university, I mean, that can be easily funded by the Department of Education. We can increase the education budget to essentially cover those expenses. We can do a whole lot. I mean, personally, I believe that any public university, I would be fine with that becoming free. I would personally write a bill on that if enough people push for it, or if I just felt like it. I don't know. Maybe after this debate, I will. I'm not sure if it would get through the Republican House, though. That's
Okay.
there it is.
Well,
Now,
I guess I'll
when?
speak now. I believe we should discourage student loans because that's what's getting people into so much debt. We should we should discourage student loans people cannot pay because these people they're getting out and they're signing their names as we're not gonna comment on that, but they're signing their names to things they're looking at this, and little do they know they're getting exploited by the banks, they're getting exploited by whoever really into signing these loans, and they're getting screwed. We need to find a way to discourage such. We need to find a way to discourage such loan sharking. We need to regulate it to hell and back, as that's a scummy business practice. I'm gonna say it. There are some scummy things that businesses do that need to be crushed. I am a free market capitalist. I consider this government overreach or not. These people, they are exploiting they are exploiting these children. I'm going to say these children, they just exited high school and they're exploiting them and setting them up to be in so much student debt. It's horrible. And as for if we should universalize colleges, we already have community colleges. We just I don't really see much purpose in changing how that is working. If BT has a rebuttal, he can speak.
BT?
No, I pretty much agree with what he said.
Jesus Christ, man. What the fuck? Okay. No, wait. Somali, let me ask one question real quick.
Sure.
Then you can ask yours. Okay. So recently, BT, you have signed an executive order to place very harsh limits on AI data centers. And I'm going to be asking mainly to when, what do you think about this?
I disagree to the extent he's done it. I am not too opposed to regulating the amount of water used by data centers, but I believe the threshold has been placed way too low. Um, Bump it up a notch, in my opinion, just a little bit, just a little bit. I would
Hey,
like to know
by
that.
just do you mean like 70 gallons?
BT.
I, I,
It's
I
his
would like
thing.
to know. I would like to also know and go on and say AI is used in hospitals. It's used for the Department of Defense, especially for precision bombings, for precision all this stuff. And I believe AI can be used by the government, but he's help. He's time checking me. But it can be used by the government. I do see that there does need to be a little bit of a cut down on how much water is being used, as this is going to eventually ruin the water supply in many communities. But overall, I believe he overdid it in such a way.
Okay. BT, your answer?
In concern to what you said, I did some more research and I did raise the threshold to 110 gallons, which is enough for low end data centers.
All right.
Are we gonna fight or?
I don't.
No, all I'm doing is correcting him because he said that the threshold was too low, and I already changed.
I'm
I
sorry.
changed
I'm
that
sorry.
earlier
I'm
today.
sorry. I am sorry. I will say I am sorry for I did not see that, but okay.
Oh no, I edited it
acknowledge.
like,
One sec.
pretty quietly. I raised the threshold up to
You want to ask
110
your
pounds
question, or should
or
I ask like a
gallons.
really spicy one?
You can ask your question. I'm still thinking of
Okay.
mine.
Okay. Then Somali, it's your question. Okay. Now let's get this right. Why would you be your president than your opponent? And specifically, why is your opponent not fit for the job? And BT, you can go first because Wen went first last time.
Okay, quite frankly, we haven't really heard all too many policies from the WEN campaign. I've seen some stuff about cybersecurity, and while that I admire that personally, however, it's not really something that you can base 4 years off of. In my opinion, I believe that I would be a better person for the presidency simply because my really my point of expertise is economics. And in order to, fund things like defense, which is, it's definitely one strong suit, defense, you need to have economic security first. And, as president, I've been able to raise Social Security by 2 times in 2 years. I've been able to raise revenues by $2 trillion in 2 years. I've been able to double Social Security. I've been able to do all this economic stuff to, really secure our future, especially in like defense, education, all these different departments. And personally, my center of focus inside of this campaign, it's what essentially allows Wen's campaign to survive, because you can't really focus on defense without focusing on economics first, in my opinion. And we've implemented so much in just 15 days that, if you gave me 4 more years, we're going to get a lot more done. I swear, if we keep up the pace that we're going, we're going to have the national debt to around I think $25 trillion by 2053. But we're definitely going to lower it by at least $5 trillion. Recently, I've implemented baby bonuses. Just yesterday, I did that. The entire Republican House eyed it. The Senate eyed it. Pretty much everybody supports that. We're helping our youth. We're helping college education. We're helping savings. We're helping rent. All of it.
Time. So
Time.
keep just like start wrapping it up. No. You can bring it to a close, but after that.
Anyway, so we've already done so much, and I believe that we have so much more to do in terms of economics. We still have to do our tax cuts. We still have to do our, student debt relief. We have so much more to do, but we've already accomplished a lot economically to secure our children's futures. And basically, economics, it's prospering right now. That's why I believe I deserve a second term. Thank you.
Okay. When?
Well, I would like to say that I will go, and I'm not going to call this negligence or ignorance. I'm guessing a lot of people also didn't see it, or they just don't remember, such as BT. I have outlined my policies many times through past campaigns. They haven't really changed. I've had a website out for like a long time now with my policies on it. I've had all these things. As I've said before, we need to be more peaceful on a foreign stage. We only need to attack when an ally is assaulted or an ally is threatened, and we can negotiate until we're blue in the face. Of course, I'm a free market. I've said I'm free market. I've said it to everybody before. Everybody knows this. BT knows this. Everybody knows this. Me and BT, we align a lot on economics. I believe we we haven't really differed much on economic policy. Unless I'm incorrect and you are secretly like some communist demagogue at heart, and I just don't know this. But then I believe in of course I have been hunting down these I've been hunting down terrorists, cartels. I've been keeping the country safe throughout my time as Secretary of Defense. BT has commended my work before. He's criticized some of my work too, but he has commended a lot of my work. So has Tea Party, all this stuff. And I have proven that in my years of the cabinet, I am the one to keep America not only safe, but also through my economic policies, such as the mayor of New York, where we had such a surplus, as he has been talking about surpluses, as we had such a surplus as mayor of New York. I have also led at least some part of the country through economic prosperity. I believe I am the right mix of defense and economy that is needed for this presidential term to prosper. And as I have
running a
said,
bit low on
I'll
time.
wrap it up. I'll wrap it up here. I'll wrap it up here.
Okay.
I also like to say I have made a promise to be a one-term president. So if I win a term, say BT can come back in the next 4 years and finish whatever he was doing, repeal everything that I did. I promise to be a one-term president, as I believe I do not need more than one term to get my policies across. Thank you.
BT, do you have a rebuttal?
I don't have. I don't really have a rebuttal because he was just like stating things about his campaign. Although I do believe that would be better for the economy, simply because he did it on a pretty local level. I've been able to extend that to the rest of the country. We've been able to lower the national debt by $8 trillion in only 2 years. That's pretty tremendous. I don't think any other administration has done that in mock history or in American history, I might add. Yeah, so give me 4 more years and I'll just, I mean, shit, we're going to tank interest rates so low that the average Joe can get the fucking yacht.
And when? Any response to
I
that?
believe, well, I'd like to say, what is it? Interest rates. We are not in a position right now, inflation-wise at least, to be tanking down interest rates. Once we are in that position, I do want interest rates to be lower, but we are not in a position there. That's just my one rebuttal to what he said.
Oh, I have another rebuttal.
Okay, go ahead.
While I do agree with you on your point about interest rates, lowering inflation, it can't just take place and it doesn't take place in just one form. You need to, like, first of all, you can meet with the IBC, you can meet with the Federal Reserve, but also you can, like, there are other ways to lower interest rates, or pardon me, lower inflation rates in order to, stop prices from rising. There's other ways to do it than raising interest rates.
Yeah, sure. That's
and I'm gonna, whenever Bipartisan gets back, I'm gonna talk to him about that because I know he knows.
I want him, bring him back, please. We need some IBC action, bro.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
Somali,
my goodness.
go ahead.
Check DMs. When? I know when.
Okay.
Hurricane.
No way. Somali's giving when?
Hell yeah, you can.
He's giving debate tips? No.
No. All right. We're gonna steer us to another.
Somali's having. Wait, no, guys. Somali's having e-sex with an Indian.
What? Okay. All right. So here's my next question. Just a small topic among Americans is on gun regulation. Americans have kind of enjoyed their Second Amendment rights, but kind of a estimation on where the candidates for president lie. What is your stance on gun regulation? And if you were president, what small scale things would you do to either enhance or to maybe lower gun regulations that we already have in place? I'm gonna start with when, because I think BT.
I've been very pro-gun. I started the NRA caucus with Somali Tabs Blaine, specifically. I've been an advocate for guns for all. I've been an advocate that this government can very easily become tyrannical, and we need to very easily have our citizens be able to defend themselves against such a government. I have been very pro-gun overall. I believe we should lower restrictions. In fact, we should keep background checks, of course. Background checks are the very basic, and we've had those since the 70s. I believe there is no way to go about this without keeping background checks. But I do believe we should lower regulations on the guns. And overall, I believe that this helps them defend their family, defend themselves from any tyrannical force which may come in the future. I can't guarantee if it will. I can't guarantee if it will. And but somebody's going to mention school shootings. School shootings have actually been over exaggerated in their statistics over the years. Hold on, I see your face, but let me explain. School shootings have been counted as simply like imagine a security guard's on duty and their gun discharges and hits the floor. They count that as somewhat of a school shooting, and this is what equates to. I know, very rough, but that's what equates to many school shootings in places. And overall, that's why I believe. Thank you. I never said school shootings don't happen. I never said school shootings don't happen. They do happen, but it's just over exaggerated.
BT, you can go now.
Okay, so I personally support the Second Amendment, and typically I support common sense regulations like the one that Parker wrote, which essentially just makes it so that kids can't have guns. Personally, I support that. You need to be out of high school before you own any kind of assault rifle, handgun, or anything. I, of course, pretty unconditionally support handgun rights, assuming, proper papers, proper background checks, all of that, but I support it. I mean, self-defense, obviously. I gotta say, I do support some common sense regulations, but personally, I believe that the laws we've already passed inside of this mock are pretty sufficient. And I'm not really focused on it because we had the Second Amendment, we have common sense gun laws already. So I don't really see all too much of a need to focus on it, but I do support the Second Amendment. I support the right to bear arms. I support handguns.
Alrighty. And do you have another question, Hurricane? Because I'm going to ask the foreign policy question.
Again?
I was going to ask the other foreign policy question, but I don't know where Hurricane went. So until Hurricane gets back, I'm just going to ask you guys this question.
Okay, bad guys. What would I miss?
I just asked him the question. Could I ask on number 3? Or
Yeah, do it.
yeah. So number 3 is who do you perceive are America's enemies according internationally, and what would you do as president to safeguard America and her allies from these enemies? I'm going to begin with BT.
Okay, so I've been pretty clear about my stances on foreign policy in the past. We need to absolutely be funding, supplying, and supporting our allies out of Europe and the Eastern Pacific in order to ensure that they're safe. All right, because once we neglect our relationships with these countries, that opens a new front for nations like Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran to essentially purge these countries. We saw it in Ukraine back in the 2030s, I believe. We saw it in Taiwan. If we neglect these countries, then we're not giving them, essentially any fighting chance against the major powers of the world, truthfully. And I believe that once we support these countries economically, once we support them with our military, once we support them publicly on the on the world stage, then it's pretty obvious we're not going to let you mess with our allies, right? Because once we let other countries mess with our allies, that means that we lose our sphere of influence and we just become another country in the scheme of things. We need to maintain a global stance. We need to maintain our stance as a superpower.
All right, Len?
So I would say I agree we need to stick close to our allies, and there's a very easy definition to enemies of America, a government-regulated definition which should exist. Someone who threatens our allies, someone who threatens America, or someone who threatens our regional integrity or operational integrity.
Like Trinidad.
Yeah, such as Trinidad. So these nations which do threaten us, threaten our allies, these are our enemies, and we need to protect our allies and us against our enemies. This would include China. This would include, what used to be Iran. This would include Russia. Would include Trinidad. This would include all these nations. And slowly, I believe, since I would say that we've had a more volatile defense policy this term, but as I believe that whichever one of us win, we're going to have a much calmer term. I believe this is now the time to wrap in those nations which we have been more quote unquote hostile towards, even though they were hostile towards us or our allies first, and bring them into our sphere of influence. Thank you.
Okay. BG, or would any rebuttals or?
No rebuttal. I feel like foreign policy, it's pretty clear. We just need a strong foreign stance. We need to, as what Teddy Roosevelt said, we need to. Shit, I forgot the quote.
Speak softly, carry a big stick.
That's right. We need to do that. We need to just maintain our global stance, maintain our stance as a superpower, supply our allies economically, militarily, and publicly.
Okay, here's one that another. This is a pretty common economic question. The minimum wage, should it be increased? Should it not be? Should it be decreased, which I think DRW for some reason proposed. What is your stance on the minimum wage? And I'll
So
let Wen go first.
decrease as inflation goes down. Inflation's very high right now. We need to decrease inflation and decrease the minimum wage with it. I want to reevaluate our dollar. I want to. No, listen. We need to reevaluate our dollar. We have de-evaluated our dollar for much too long. Inflation's gone way too far up, and we need to bring inflation down. And as our dollar reevaluates, we can slowly bring minimum wage down. Simple.
Hold on, I got a quick question.
Yeah, do ask.
It sounds like you're arguing for deflation, which would absolutely that would be devastating for the economy. I buy that.
Oh no.
What's your plan here? Like when inflation? No. Because sure, we can lower inflation. However, that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean we can lower the minimum wage. Once inflation is at a certain point, we can't lower the minimum wage without deflation. So that means that you're kind of arguing for deflation here.
I'm not necessarily arguing for deflation, but from what I understand, we have tried to keep the price in line with the current inflation rate from what the bills have shown. So what I am saying is that if we want to keep it true with the inflation rate, we should slowly bring it down as such. Ever be to like $15.
But so the thing is, prices, they go along with, I mean, yeah, sure, they go along with the inflation rate, but inflation, like prices, they continually go up. I think we can all, they go up with inflation, of course. And the only way to really bring prices down across the board would be with deflation, which is also that's devastating. But you can't really inflation. It's a steady thing. Sure, you can slow it down, but you can't stop it and make it go back. It's like the flow. It's like the flow of time. Sure, you might be able to make it slow down when you're having fun or whatever, but you can't make it stop unless you essentially crash the economy. Because if we introduce deflation, that crashes the economy. So I disagree with you here. I don't think that's
this is why I'm not a gold standard person. The gold standard would wreck us.
Okay, any rebuttals or
no shots at Russ. No, I'm completely content. I'm content.
okay. Next question. Somalia is still deafened, so I'll ask this one. Now, for another foreign policy question. Now, recently, this has been a very militarily focused military intervention, stuff like that. And what if a severe geopolitical crisis happens, will you prioritize diplomatic or direct military intervention? And I'll let BT go first.
Okay, so I've always been clear about this. We have to prioritize diplomacy first, and if diplomacy fails, we go to war. I feel like that should always be the standard. We don't go war, then diplomacy, because if somebody doesn't attack us or attack our allies, there's no need to throw ourselves into that. I think we need to try any diplomatic means possible, and if they're not receptive to those means, we go to war.
That's kind of the obvious answer here. You just do diplomacy, and if diplomacy doesn't work, you sanction and you go to war.
Yeah,
I would go further. I know he asked you that. I would go further, and I would say we do diplomacy. If diplomacy doesn't work, we start sanctions. If sanctions and diplomacy don't work, then we go to war. I would argue there needs to be that extra step in there just to give them one last second to back out before we bomb them. We don't need to see your Adam's apple, BT.
Okay, another big thing is the infamous role of the United States as the world police. Do you want to maintain that role as intervening in conflicts around the globe? Do you want to pursue a more home-focused stance? What are your views on interventionism versus internalism? And I'll let Wen go first.
I've always been more so America first in my foreign policy. Not in the way that Nick Fuentes is. I hate Nick Fuentes, but I'm definitely more America first in my foreign policy. I do much prefer America being more focused on its internality. rather than its plurality. But we definitely do need to keep some presence within the globe. We need to keep some presence over the globe, because if we just retract all presence, who's going to take that presence? Well, the Russians, well, the Chinese, and they're going to come out and they're going to turn the world, I don't know, communist or whatever, fascist or whatever. They're going to start, and our allies without us are just going to crumble. So we need to keep our troops overseas, and we need to be prepared to go out and fight for our allies, but we also need to focus more so on our internal state.
BT.
Okay, so I've pretty much always said this. There are three possibilities to me, right? If they're unaligned, then we shouldn't go to war, right? If there's two unaligned nations that are going to war, I don't believe that we should go to war. Possibility number two: if there are two unaligned nations that are going to war and one of them is committing human atrocities, then we intervene. And possibility three: if they're attacking our allies or attacking us, then we go in and we intervene. Those are my three scenarios. That's how I would do it personally. If there are human atrocities being committed, of course, we need to put our foot in, because seriously, we're going to let some country just do that to their people?
When any rebuttals, or do you pretty much agree?
I very much so agree. We can't just let people. I mean, that's why we started the Gulf War. That's a very good precedent for what we should do. If somebody's gassing the Kurds, somebody's gassing minority, we should come out and we should kill them.
Wait.
What?
A very good president?
President.
No. You said president. You said president.
Try to catch me on a misspoke here,
Yeah,
but I'm saying that it's a very good.
No way.
We can move. We can move to just open debate on this.
I am endorsing George H.W. Bush for president 2048. Thank you. I'm kidding. But anyways, Hurricane.
Okay. Now moving back to healthcare. Apparently, I don't know if we do, but some people are saying we have free healthcare. Some people say we don't because it was during 2.7, the complete free healthcare. About that, if we let's say we do you plan to keep it? Do you plan to cut down on it? Do you plan to increase funding? What are your plans for the American public healthcare system?
Well, first off,
And
I would like someone.
Okay, yeah. When could go first?
Well,
Hey,
first off, I'd like someone to. Wait, no, did you go first last time? No, yeah, you went
who went
first last
first?
time. Don't lie. He went first last time. He was talking about allies. But anyways, I was saying.
Yeah, he did go first. Go ahead.
I do believe I would like someone to fact check if we even do have universal healthcare right now. But if we don't, I would like to point out that universal healthcare in the traditional sense has been horrible in the US. Look at the VA, for example, long wait times. Many veterans prefer privatized healthcare over that of the VA. In Europe, even there's those long wait times. Even Canada's introduced euthanasia partly because of this. I believe no, we should not have universal healthcare, but we definitely should strive for a cheaper healthcare system.
BT.
Okay, so I've been pretty clear about my support for universal healthcare. Of course, if that bill does end up not being in effect for, whenever we end up investigating that, I would try to speed that through Congress in a single day, get that on my desk, sign it immediately, and get it over with, because it was supposed to be done around a decade ago. That's pretty easy to infer. A universal healthcare, whatever manner we fund it in, I think it should be. We need to accomplish it, right? And I've been pretty steadfast in my opinions about healthcare. Matter of fact, I increased healthcare funding by around $75 billion last quarter. So.
When do you have a rebuttal?
I mean, we're not really arguing the ethics of universal healthcare and the overall cost. He just said he supports universal healthcare and would get that signed. So there's not much to rebuttal there. I just disagree with getting universal healthcare signed. I've made that very clear.
No, do you disagree with what he said?
Yes, I disagree with what he said.
Disagreeing with what I said, not rebuttal. Sad.
I mean, there's not much. Okay, if there was, okay.
Explain why.
Okay, I'll explain why it's wrong then. First off, wait times, the VA, all this stuff. The VA has been proven to be a very inefficient system. It has made taxes higher, in fact, in Europe and such for veterans and such. The VA has been very ineffective for these U.S. veterans who are coming in. Wait times are very long, and overall, privatized healthcare. I do support it, but we need to find a way to lower prices on it rather than just making it completely free. Would you rather pay absurd amount, or would you rather wait 3 months, or would you rather spend an amount of money to get yourself fixed up? I would rather spend money to get myself fixed up in the moment, because here's the thing. Here's what's better than universal healthcare. In universal healthcare, you are paying taxes constantly for even if you don't need to go to the doctor's visit or the ER right now, you're still spending taxes constantly for universal healthcare. What we should have, what we should have is rather you. And yes, you're going to private healthcare in the US always. But as I was saying, you pay your money after you get your treatment. But you go to the hospital, you get treated, and you pay the money that one time for when you're getting healthcare. And we have the best healthcare in the US anyway, so I would say we are in a pretty good position.
The best healthcare in the U.S.
I mean, in the world. Oh, jeez,
BG,
misspoke.
BG, would you have a rebuttal
Okay,
like
so
you said?
I agree that veterans, they are very much mistreated. I personally would strive for a VA reform because that's simply unacceptable, having to wait 3 months, especially for our typically elderly and middle-aged people. However, I have to say, hospitals, they're much more widespread. I personally, like in real life, I'm not sure if it's just my town or something, but I personally have never seen a VA's office. I figure that they are very, very sparsely spread out. Hospitals are not very sparsely spread out. They can house probably 500, 1,000 people, something like that. Anyway, they can house a lot of people, right? Healthcare inside of a VA's office, that's like, it's slow, of course, but hospitals, they're much more widespread. They have a lot more apartments and stuff. I feel like they could go through that faster. I feel like universal healthcare would not be as slow as you seem to think it would be, simply because we have a lot more available. Anyway, already paid for it, so we can do that.
When would you like to do a second rebuttal, or?
I'm just gonna have a very short rebuttal here. I'd point out Europe to point to the wait times still there are very long, such as in the UK, such as in Canada, our northern neighbor. And again, as I said, we need to focus more so on lowering the price of healthcare, and if we can somehow get it completely free without taxing people more, which is physically impossible as is right now, then I'd be in support of that. But it is
Wait. Well, that's actually wrong right there.
We're not in open debate yet. You could do that in your second rebuttal.
But I am going on to say, most of the time, universal healthcare ends up being paid by taxpayer money, which raises taxes, and it's horrible. Thank you. And we already have Medicare and Medicaid set up for paying for such already. So,
BT.
Okay, so I have to say you're wrong here. The $75 billion that we managed to increase health funding by was actually done without any increases in taxes for the lower, middle, or upper classes. I mean, yeah, if we just have a healthy economy, our revenues, they naturally increase with investors and such. We don't need tax increases in order to increase our revenues. And at the end of the day, our revenues are what shapes our budget, and our budget is what shapes our healthcare. So we've managed to increase our health funding by several tens of billions of dollars. It's not really something that we need to, we don't need higher taxes in order to achieve a more efficient funded healthcare because we already did it under this administration. This one right here, we increased health funding without any tax increases.
Okay. And when would you like to also we can do free debate now if you guys are interested in it, or we can move on to the final question.
I would personally move on to the next question. When can have his rebuttal?
I guess I'll move
Okay.
on.
Now for the final question. If you're elected president but the opposition controls the Congress, how do you plan to work with them to get your agenda passed? And who answered the last question?
When did?
Okay, BT, you can answer first. Last question of the debate.
Well, in the past, especially in my speaker term and during this term, I've been able to pass pretty bipartisan legislation, regardless of, what party controls the House of Representatives, whatever party controls the Senate. I've been able to push my agenda through. I've been able to meet with congressional leaders in order to get things passed. I've been able, during this term, I met with congressional leaders in order to discuss a mod reform bill. I've been able to talk to the Board of Governors in order to discuss lower taxes for essentially working people. But no, like my agenda, it's not really something that I need to, coerce people into supporting, because largely the federal gas tax removal that passed unanimously. The baby bonus bill that passed unanimously inside of the House. Like, even though it's Republican controlled, truthfully, my agenda isn't something that people are going to be like crying about. Like, oh my God, he made baby bonuses. No, that's not something that's ever happened, right? Because a majority of the American public, I'm saying like more than 90% of the American public supports my agenda, and therefore the House of Representatives supports it. And personally, I would strive for better communication between the House of Representatives, the Senate, all of this. I've strived for that during my presidency. I've tried to improve channels of communication between the governors and the Congress and the presidency. However, it's not really something that I need to like talk to people about and coerce them to support. They just naturally do it because my agenda isn't one of partisan root. It's something that all Americans benefit off of, and therefore a majority of Americans support it.
Okay. And when your answer for the last question of the debate?
I mean, believe it or not, I am not this Nazi radical far right person who's going to repeal everything BT's ever done. I do not think
This is
I am
not
not
you.
gonna,
Fake.
I am not gonna I am not gonna be a repealer president. I'm not gonna go out and go to Congress, hold them at gunpoint, and said, "You're gonna listen to everything I want to do, or you're gonna get out, Buster." No, I don't. I'm gonna have my own legislation, of course, and it's gonna be more or less bipartisan. It's mostly gonna be what I would consider bipartisan. It's not like me going after me and going and say, "Is it a crazy idea for me to say America has to be a safe place?" Wow,
What?
I am so
I
radical.
I strongly disagree.
Yeah, he believes America should be anarchist. That's what he's making Congress do once it's controlled by the Democrats. But as I'm saying,
Yeah.
but
This is
it's
true.
not crazy. It's not crazy partisan for me to go and say the members of our server need to be safe, and I believe I am the best candidate for this. Forgive me,
Okay.
I spoke swear words. So basically, that's really what I'm saying. I do not believe that I am a more or less partisan person when it comes to legislation.
Okay.
Let him talk.
Okay. I have a quick rebuttal.
What's your goal? What is it, Goy?
Although I do support your ideals regarding server safety, I don't really think it's something like I've said this in the past. I don't really think that something that you need to be elected to do. I believe that you can pass your agenda regarding server safety
Yeah,
as
sure.
Secretary of Defense. You can do it as an independent citizen. You can push things like, hey, don't show your face online. Don't get a VPN. Like, do all the stuff that you're doing inside of your bills, or pardon me, your program agenda. I'm not sure what it is. It's some kind of form, but you can do that without being elected to the presidency. In my opinion.
And I would like
This
to
is smart
know.
now.
I mean, I would like to know. I have been trying to push more for server. If you could see, I dropped a good list of what you could do to be more secure. I dropped that way earlier on. I tried. And to be fair, to my defense for showing my face online, you cannot track this back to anything else on the internet. My main contention point came from if your face can be tracked back to like your church, school, your address, then you need to stop showing your face. But if it's literally nowhere else and you're wiped clean, you can
Guys,
do this.
I do have to go
Right.
soon, so can we like try to wrap this up?
Okay. Yeah, I'll wrap this up and I'll say, I mean, to what you're saying as a rebuttal, I have been, if you've been watching, you have been trying to, I have been trying to push for my security, even outside of the presidency. I just think it would be much faster and much easier. Now that I'm on the mod team, especially, it's gone way easier for me. But I believe as I am becoming a mod, as I wish to be president, I am presidential hopeful after all. I do believe I will be able to get this agenda passed.
Thank you.
That's
Alright.
it. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for attending, and make sure to vote. And Fester,
Alright, cool.
Yolkia, and Hail British.
All right.
All
It's
right.
a very nice debate. I liked it.
Thanks for coming out, BT.
Wait, one sec.
Came out
Wait,
to-
really quick. Our Lord and Savior, British Christ, has a question.
What's his question?
If it's a stupid question, you could all leave.
If it's a stupid question, he gets firing squatted.
Yeah, leave.
I would rather
Uh,
watch
Goodbye.
it.
I would also rather watch a Negro, but okay. Later, guys.
Tree grow.
I'm half
Tree grow.
I'm half
I'd
Latino.
like
I'm
to
allowed to
watch a
say it.
tree grow. No,
Half
you're
Latino. Yes, I am. It's been a well documented fact. Okay, serious question from Geography Matters. Last crowd question. Yep. Okay. Everyone, goodbye. Everyone, goodbye.
Ape Horn.
Goodbye. Also,
Goodbye.
Gabe Horn. Okay. Okay. Well, thank. No. Okay. Actually, last
All right.
question. I will leave. I'm going to leave
Okay.
after this question.
We will leave if this is a fake news question.
Yeah, this is fake news question. We are leaving, and we're going to let Vader host the Kirkapalooza.
Ooh, okay. Well, we need to colonize the moon.
Okay. Okay. And with that, goodbye. You guys can
Wait,
answer
what was
crowd.
How are we gonna handle the program up to Mars? I'm gonna say this: we should colonize the moon because we can use the moon as a launching base. Not only this, there's resources on the moon we can utilize. We can utilize resources on the moon, bring them back to Earth to help the prosperity of the United States economy. On top of this, we can also siphon some from Mars, and we can also go on and take some of that resources from Mars, and we can use both Mars and the moon as launching bases for future space missions to help prosper the U.S. more. Yes, launch on the moon too. That's what I mean. We should build stuff and launch on the moon. All right. ET, answer.
What? What am I
You
answering?
don't understand. How are we gonna further our space program on Mars?
Our space program on Mars. I mean, we're going to Mars tomorrow. Like in mock, we're going to Mars tomorrow. That's something that we're going to accomplish under this administration. So
Well, it was gonna happen no matter who, really. I mean, it's like saying that Artemis 2 happened under Trump, so Trump's great.
I'm Trump.
Oh my goodness. I'm talking to the president?
Yeah.
Sorry, sir. All right, anyways. Thank you for coming out to debate today, I guess. And as I say always before the other person leaves, ladies first. Ladies first. Ladies first to leave the debate.